Hi everyone. So if you see this is my dog Skittles. You've maybe seen him in a previous video. So I wanted to talk to you. No crying. I wanted to talk to you about when I had my gallbladder surgery. It was a very long time ago. So sorry if the information is kind of all jumbled. So anyway, starting probably 5 years ago now, I started getting these really bad chest pains in the middle of my chest, and they were excruciating. They were so bad I couldn't breathe. The first time I ever had it was because I ate, yes, I know, don't hate me for this, I had like a full serving of Kraft Dinner, like not a serving, a full box. So anyway, we ended up going to the hospital, and then when I got there, the pain started to go away, so we came home. Anyway, over the next few years, it started getting worse. I found it came when I had fatty foods, but not all the time. Like, one day I'd be fine, but if I had more or less the next day, it would come back. And it made me all tingly and very sweaty, like hot. So anyway, so fast forward a couple years, and this was probably not last January, but the January before. I ended up having that chest pain, and I had really bad nausea, heartburn. I was taking Tums and Zantac and Dexalent and everything under the sun that I could to try and relieve this nausea. So anyway, so I was sick about for 5 days, and I decided to go to the hospital. So this was at, I believe, 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night, and I was waiting for a very long time, and they ended up taking blood from my arm, and sorry, anyway, I was still waiting, and they were just gonna send me home when one of my blood test results came back, and one of my levels was off. I cannot remember which one. This was like years ago. So anyway, I was admitted into the hospital. So my husband was there, and this was at like 12 o'clock at night now, and they ended up giving me an IV in my arm here, and they ended up giving me morphine because the pain was going out my back, and it was really bad. And I remember lying in the bed, and the curtain was like waving because I've never had morphine before. Anyway, I ended up being in the hospital for 10 days. Yes, 10 days. So the next day, I didn't have any sleep until like 9 o'clock that night, and I was able to like have some pop and whatnot, and I was worried about a caffeine headache, because I knew they were going to take me off fluids. So the next day is when I was on fluids. Before that, I was allowed to have pop, and then I went to my dog. Then I went to having caffeine tea, which I hate tea. It was black tea, but at least it was caffeine. Sorry, this was a long time ago. So first they didn't know what was going on with me, and so they did an ultrasound, and I've had ultrasounds for this before and nothing ever showed. So anyway, they did an ultrasound the next day, 2 days after I got into the hospital, and it turned out I had gallstones in my gallbladder. So anyway, then I had to wait. So they were gonna schedule me for surgery to put a stent in, which is like a straw, and it like makes the where the gallbladder attaches to your intestine or whatever bigger, so the stones can pass. I was scheduled for one, and then they ended up having to reschedule because there was a guy that needed immediate surgery or he would have died. Which is kind of cool if you think about it, because I saved that man's life because I didn't have that surgery. So anyway, oh, this time is so bad. I may have to do this in 2 parts. It's really long, we'll see. So this IV started to become really sore, and my fingers became very fat and hard. Now, I'm a nervous person, and the nurse told me it was fine. So okay, well, the next day my IV started to get really sore and very red. I think it was starting to go like migrate out of my skin. So they were going to remove it, and I didn't want it removed. So what they did is they were going to put me to sleep so they could put the stent in. First of all, it goes down into your throat, a scope. So I'm like, well, why can't you just take it out when I'm under, because I'm nervous. Anyway, so they said yes. So I remember laying on the table. They gave me no, sorry, okay, so they had to find another IV, and I'm gonna insert a picture if I can find it somewhere. Or maybe at the end of this video. They ended up trying here, and they got the IV in, and then they inject some saline to flush the vein. And well, from what I understand, the saline went into my arm, not the vein. So I had this big, like 3-inch bruise right here. It was so big and like discolored. So they took it out. They tried another one here. That didn't work. So they tried another one, I think here. Anyway, that's when they got a good one. So anyway, I get taken into this room. And I remember lying on the table, and I said, tell me when you're going to inject the stuff. So they do. And I was awake. So they didn't start. It's kind of like to make you not aware, but I was aware. And this nurse said, can I take this IV out? And I said, no, not now. Anyway, then I don't remember much. And I remember suddenly gagging, and so the scope was going down into my throat, and I couldn't breathe. I think I threw up because the girl was suctioning my mouth out, and then everything went black. Like, I couldn't remember anything. I knew I was awake though. So then I finally came to, and I was in this I think it was an MRI scan, and they're telling me to breathe and not breathe. Anyway, it turned out they had nicked one of my intestines, and while they were putting the stent in, which they told me about, it was fine. So I couldn't eat or drink anything pretty much the whole time I was there. And the pain from the nicked intestine was pretty bad. They had me on morphine and everything, so I was stuck there. And because I was in my bed all the time, they had to give me shots in my stomach area so I wouldn't get clots. And I had one a day, and it was a spring-loaded needle, so it was very fast, and the needles weren't really that painful. So they were okay. I mean, I got really bad bruises on my stomach, but that's fine. Sorry, I'm trying to remember. So every day they gave me a blood test, and to check my levels to see when I could go home. So anyway, it came to about 9 or 10 days in the hospital. Then I got out, and then I had to make an appointment to get the stent out. So I went into the hospital. I can't remember how long after. It was like a month. So anyway, I went into the hospital, and they gave me an IV. The IV wasn't that bad. It worked right away. And I went into a room, and I said, please let me know when the medication is going in. So they injected me, and I felt very strange. And they were going to start, and I was still awake. Like, I wasn't that drugged up. And I thought, well, I'm not going to say anything, because they know what they're doing. So anyway, next thing I know is there's like the scope thing going down my throat again. It wasn't that bad this time, because it was thinner. Anyway, I guess they got it out. Then I was whisked to another room, a waiting room. My dad was there, and I don't remember much. I was drugged, and I thought I wasn't. They gave me a little apple juice to drink, and I remember it was really good, but I remember saying it was really small. It was like really tiny. So I drank that, and then the nurse came and took out my IV in my arm, and like, I didn't care. I hate needles coming out, needles going in. And then I remembered looking down at my arm, and it started to bleed. So that was fine, and then we went home. And then I had to go the next like month or two and have my gallbladder out. Yeah, so that was fun. I remembered I had to put this little brush with pink soap all over my body, or all over my stomach, and I couldn't get it all off. It was really weird. So it's funny, I don't really remember that much from that. Anyway, I got out, and I looked at my stomach, because the nurse was telling me how to change my dressings and whatnot. And I looked at my stomach. My stomach was pink, and I thought it was blood. So anyway, I ended up she ended up telling me what to do and whatnot, and I went home. I'm hoping I'm not gonna remember all. I hope I'm not gonna forget all this. 14 minutes later. Anyway, I have 3 little cuts. They ended up going one in my belly button, which I have a really bad scar. I'm not gonna show it, but it's like a keloid scar. where it's inflamed, the scar tissue, and I have, no, it was 4 scars. 2 of them are normal, and 2 of them are keloid scars. The pain, I've had a lot of surgeries in my life, and the pain, I'm really good at, like, after surgery pain, but this was the worst pain. Even with pain pills and everything, I couldn't move in bed, I couldn't twist, I couldn't do anything. It took weeks. It took weeks to get away from the pain. And beside my belly button, if this is my belly button, on the left hand side, about this big of a spot on my stomach, it started to hurt really, really bad, and there was dots. So I ended up telling my dad, can we go to the hospital, it's really bad. So I ended up going to the hospital. She said it was fine, and there was nothing to worry about. They don't know, the emergency room doesn't know what happened during the surgery. They didn't tell me. So anyway, I did tell my doctor, my family doctor, what happened, and she told me it was most likely a blood clot, which is, if you get it into your heart, that's very, very bad. It can kill you. Anyway, it didn't go there, and slowly but surely I healed. It took weeks and weeks and weeks, but the pain in my middle of my chest was gone. And anyway, after that, I was happy. And like, I gotta be careful because I have an increased chance of having diabetes, because your gallbladder helps with that. I'm not 100% sure how that works, and I had to be careful. Like, I can't eat fattening stuff. Well, I do, but anyway, I started getting a new pain under my rib cage on my right hand side, and it wasn't as bad as the stones, but it was worrisome. So I talked to the doctor, and she put a referral in for ultrasound. So I go to the ultrasound place, and this was a while after, and she puts the probe on, and she's looking, and then she goes to see if they got the right pictures and everything. So this was not last year, but the year before, I think, or the beginning of last year. I'm not 100% sure. So she goes, and I hear the doctor in the other room say cyst and advice, and so I'm getting worried. I'm laying there on the table. The doctor comes in, or the radiologist, and he looks it up, and I said to him, I know you're not supposed to tell me, but what's going on? And he says that my body is trying to recreate a gallbladder. I couldn't believe it. So I have this little, at the time it was like a 1.5 centimeters by whatever, like really small. And they didn't know why I was having that pain under my rib. He said, there's no reason for you to have it. I believe that the little gallbladder that was recreating was hitting a nerve or something, because that's kind of what it felt like. And so anyway, that's my story. I'm fine now. No more pain. No lasting effects of it. And I don't have that pain from the new gallbladder. So if you have any questions, I think I covered it all. I'm trying to think. I probably missed something. If I did, I'll just make a new video explaining, but this is almost 20 minutes now, so I'm gonna let you go, and comment down below. I'm always open to talking about what happened, and if you're going through this, let me know. I'll answer any questions. But the pain after the surgery was so bad. I had my roof of my mouth taken off. Maybe I'll make another story about explaining my other surgeries. And I never even needed Tylenol for my other surgeries, but this one I did. Anyway, thank you for watching, and comment below. I'll answer any questions you may have, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!